Hey everybody, it's Beau. I'm a multifamily broker in the Florida region, and today I'm going over the result of a really cool report that BrokerList and buildout put together each year. And what they do is they interview hundreds of commercial real estate brokers from all over the country of all different kinds of companies, and the name of the report is 2020 DNA of Commercial Real Estate Brokers. Now, the reason that's important to you as a multifamily investor or any investor in commercial real estate is that you're going to get an inside look of how commercial real estate brokers perform, what they do on the back office, how much money they make, all that stuff, so that when you're going to interview brokers next time to sell your asset or buy your asset, you'll have a better understanding of what questions to ask, all right? I certainly found some shocking answers here that are disturbing, and then some of them that were better. So I'm going to highlight not the whole report because it's 60 pages. I'm just going to hit a few pages here and there. So let's follow along, okay? So anyway, this is the name of the report. We'll jump to page 4 to give you an idea. This was conducted February through March of this year. Obviously, the focus is on best practices, and they interviewed 730 brokers. That's a pretty good sized data set, if I might say so. We'll jump to page 8 for the first one. So what is your top source for finding property information? And the majority of responses was CoStar and LoopNet. Now, you may think that's an obvious answer, and it is an obvious answer, but if you've ever used third-party information systems like CoStar or LoopNet, and there's a whole bunch of them out there, you know that a lot of the information is entered in by people who are not in real estate. And I can't tell you how inaccurate a lot of the information is. Those sources are definitely good for a lot of things. Pictures, sometimes they have the right number of units. You can get demographic information. I'm certainly not poo-pooing it. But my point is that when 64% of respondents use that as how they collect data, that to me is disturbing. I self-source everything I do, and I use other sources maybe as a backup for pictures or things like that. But self-sourcing gives you the most accurate information on the properties that you're selling and buying and working on. So that was crazy to me. All right, page 14. What tool do you use if you keep a private database? Now, this was really, really crazy to me, all right? So every commercial real estate broker who's very good at what they do uses a CRM or a customer relationship management software. It's how we keep track of customers. Quite frankly, I think all investors should have a CRM to be able to handle all of the different properties that you're working on, the ones that you own, the ones that you're buying, the brokers you communicate with, attorneys, property managers. That's what CRMs are for. And what I found shocking is that you got 47% of commercial real estate brokers use either Outlook or a daggum Excel spreadsheet to track their business and to communicate with their customers. Blows my mind. These are the rest of the CRMs. I personally use RealNex. I think they're fantastic. All of them are good, Client Outlook, Apto, all that stuff, but they're only as good as the broker who inputs them and how religiously they use the CRMs. But one of the questions you should always ask a broker if you're looking to interview them is what CRM they use, because they've got to be able to track all the stuff they're doing for you in order to deliver the best quality of service. And Outlook and spreadsheets ain't going to do that, okay? All right, so now we're going to page 19. How many hours a week do you spend prospecting? And the number one answer was 1 to 5 hours a week. What? Are you kidding me? Think about this, you as an investor. Think if you spent only 12 minutes to 60 minutes a day looking for apartment complexes to buy, how would you survive, right? And then you've got, so if you add them all up, you got basically 80% spend under 10 hours a week. They spend under 2 hours a day prospecting or trying to grow their business. That just blows me away. And you have to look at this like on your side, on the investment side. Do you spend under 2 hours a day looking for assets or evaluating them or talking to other brokers, talking to other investors, trying to get referrals? That's basically how you grow your business. Obviously, the way we grow our business is talking to you. And to think that that 80% of brokers are spending between 12 minutes and only 2 hours a day prospecting, wild. All right, page 21. What is the price of your average listing? And the majority answer was between $500,000 and $1 million. Now, I'm not gonna downplay this whole thing. The vast majority of commercial real estate brokers are not in multifamily. Multifamily investing is typically sort of the upper echelon of real estate brokers because the deal sizes are much higher. It takes a different experience level. And not just multifamily, but if you did shopping center sales, office building, multi-tenant sales, anything investment sales is usually a different stratosphere or whatever you want to call it of deal making. That's not to say someone who's in leasing or individual office sales or individual industrial sales don't do very well and make a lot of money. Just from an actual volume standpoint here, what you've got is, 25, 35, 40, 46, 51. You get between 55 and 60% of brokers are working on deals under $1 million. Now, obviously, in multifamily sales, almost every deal is over $2 million. And so that represents only 18% of brokers alone. My guess is if you kick this even up to just 5 million, that 18 would probably be cut in half. All right, page 25. Which listing sites do you use the most? I don't have anything critical on this one other than I just thought it would be an interesting distribution to see this. Obviously, LoopNet is the number one choice. As a matter of fact, LoopNet, Crexi, and Catalyst are by far the top choices. What I thought interesting, though, was 10X is nowhere on here out of all of these. Now, obviously, they just got acquired by CoStar. They obviously sell a lot of property. It's a good platform from what I'm here. I haven't used it much, but doesn't show up on here at all. I thought that was interesting. Page 28. What technologies do you use if you manage your back office process? So a back office for us is, handling commission payments, handling transaction paperwork, dealing with attorneys. Basically, how do you handle all that paperwork? You got to be able to have a system in place. And what I found shocking is that 78% of commercial real estate brokers are manually managing their back office. Now that to me means they're either writing on a piece of paper or they're basically not using some sort of software. We use buildout internally. You can see the other ones that other folks use, but I thought this was crazy and sort of matched that other stat that they're using spreadsheets and Outlook. Crazy. All right, page 46. What is your company type? I just thought this was interesting. Only 44% of the respondents, and probably representative of most of the market, were national companies. So, CB Richard Ellis, Coldwell Banker Commercial, Marcus and Millichap, Colliers, JLL, NAI. That's all the national guys, and then independents would be, sort of self-created companies, if you will. I thought that was interesting. We're almost done here. Page 50. How many years have you worked in commercial real estate? What I thought interesting here was the biggest one was between 11 and 20 years, but you got about a third of the respondents that have under 10 years. I wouldn't call a 10-year person a rookie, but there's still certainly a lot to learn, as you guys know. And roughly 23, 33, you got 40% had 20 years or more of experience. Page 51. What is your gross commission income in 2019? Now, keep in mind here, we just answered a question about how many years have you worked in real estate. And you've got 48, 58, you got almost 65% of the respondents that have 10 years or basically 11 years or more of experience. And the average and the majority of the income earners earned under $100,000, or the largest respondents earned under $100,000. You've got 30, 45, 50, you got almost 60% of respondents earning under $200,000. Only looks like 6% make 7 figures or more. And here's the other distribution. So I thought that was really, really interesting that even after so many years of experience, you still have the vast majority of folks making under $200,000 and even more. Shoot, you got 75%, something like that, under $300,000. Listen, $300,000 is a good income. I'm just saying with that much experience, I was expecting something different. Page 52, another sad statistic that you guys have to look after. On average, how many hours do you work in a week? So the biggest amount of respondents were under 45 hours. So you got 40% work under 45 hours a week. Well, actually more than that, 40 plus the 18. So you got 60% of commercial brokers work under 45 hours a week. Now, you are a commercial real estate investor. You buy multifamily complexes. Do you work under 45 hours a week and remain successful? Do you buy and sell a lot of property? Probably not if you're trading that much, okay? So, not that you can ask a commercial real estate broker when you're interviewing them, how many hours do you work? It's probably a weird question, but I don't think it's out of line. Now, that's not to say that I think the more hours you work, the better you are, because that's not the case. And I think there's a certain realm that you hit where it becomes unhealthy. But, so you got 30% work between 46 and 56 hours. I think that's a reasonable amount of time. And, 56 hours plus, leaves a lot. That could go up to 80 or 90 hours. We don't know. But the point is that only 12% work above that amount. And then we've got 3 more pages. Page 53, what age range do you fall into? So I definitely found this interesting. You've got roughly 30% of commercial real estate brokers going to be retiring in the next 5 years. 30%. That's going to be a huge fall off of brokers. And then you've got 18, 28, basically 27% are under the age, let me see here, age range, under the age of 37. Let's see here, and I think what was the biggest range was between 50 and 59 years old. So these guys have between, let's call it 6 and 16 years left. And these are probably your most, these guys are probably your most seasoned veterans in the business. All right, and page 54, what gender? Obviously 80% are male. I really hope this grows more. I'm sure this number is up year over year. I hope this continues to grow, but this is not a out of the ordinary stat. And then the last page I want to cover is which property type did you sell or lease the most in 2019? Now keep in mind, this is sales and leasing combined, and leasing makes up a lot of transactions, and so office was obviously the number one transaction, followed by retail and industrial. Multifamily was only about 10%. My guess is if the question was how much volume was done by asset class in 2019, I bet multifamily was probably the top or darn near the top, just because each transaction on average is far more than, let's say, an office lease or a retail lease or an industrial sale or something like that. So that's it. I thought that was really quite interesting stuff. So that's the end of the report. Please comment below how do you interview brokers? What are some of the questions that you ask? What are the things that are important to you? Put those in the comments. Also, while you're here, please like, comment, subscribe. Really helps out my channel a lot. Helps out big time on the YouTube algorithms. And if there's anything else that I can do, any other video I can do for you, please comment below as well. Look forward to seeing you in the next one. Thanks, guys. Bye.